All right, good evening, everyone. We will go ahead and get started. We do have a lot of registrants for this evening, which is great. It's good to see some familiar faces out there. And I think we have some new people joining us this evening as well, which is always great. Just want to say welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Caitlin Jordan, and I'm the Director of Member Programs, Technology and Marketing for FNA. This evening, I am going to be presenting this webinar with our Executive Director, Willa Fuller. We're really glad you could join us. I'll just start by letting you know that we are recording the webinar, and we will make that recording available to everyone who registered and anyone who's going to Advocacy Days. So if you want to refer back to it, you will have that in your inbox tomorrow morning. And we'll send you the slides as well. So let's hop into it. I did want to just start off by doing a quick poll just to see what your experience is. Is this your first time attending Advocacy Days? Do you have any experience with speaking to legislators? That just gives us kind of like a good sense of who's with us this evening as we go through. So I'm just going to leave that open for a moment. Okay, great. Oh, okay. Mel Kirk went to Hill Day. So is that ANA Hill Day, I'm assuming? That's great. That's really great experience. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and share the results. So this is great to know. It looks like a big group of you guys. This is your first time going to Advocacy Days, which is awesome, about 65%. We have some return. And then there's a few of you who are just getting on for education tonight, which is also great. Okay, so actually that's great. We have quite a few people who have experience meeting with legislators. It looks like about half and half. Some have and some haven't. And then we have some pros on tonight too. So that's always great. First timers, welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay, let's hop into it. All right. So here's what we're going to be doing tonight. We're going to go over some of the conference logistics just to give you an idea what to expect. This conference has some moving pieces. It's not just your typical conference where you're just going to watch sessions. It's going to be very interactive and hands-on. So we like to give this opportunity for people to feel like they have some extra preparation before going to Tallahassee. So we're just going to give you that prep for your trip. And then we are going to go over our FNA legislative platform that's had some updates for this year. All right, let's go into the conference logistics. So what are the goals of Advocacy Days? Advocacy Days is a part of FNA's grassroots legislative program, which is the entire year. But Advocacy Days is basically the culmination of that. It's where we go up to Tallahassee to educate lawmakers, to speak with them at the Capitol. And we want to make sure that the nurses who are coming feel prepared. So we're educating them how to be an effective advocate on nursing issues. We're going to be highlighting the top issues related to nursing in this session. And then we're going to be getting you connected with your legislators so that you can pass that information along to them. We are going to have a conference app again this year. This tool is going to be really great for anyone who's coming, just so you can stay on track with your appointments, with the agenda. We'll have all of our tools built into it as well. So if you need to look something up as far as any particular bills we're going to be discussing or talking points, or if you need to look up your legislators' information, all of those tools are going to be built into this platform, which we'll have ready to release to you next week. You're going to get an email with your welcome information next week, and it'll have the link to download this app so you can start looking through that. Highly recommend that. I just wanted to point you to FNA's advocacy and legislative homepage if you've never been there. This area of our website has a lot of tools for getting prepared to speak with legislators. So it has our updated legislative platform on there. It has all our different talking points, and we do have those updated for this year, and those are on there. It has a tool to look up who your legislators are and find out their contact information. So this is just a really great resource that's open all the time on our website. You can go in there anytime you want. It doesn't have to be for Advocacy Days. It can be any time of the year. You can go on here and look up the information for the current year of what FNA is working on for that year. And you can actually even email your legislators directly through this portal as well. So definitely take a look at that. Okay, hopping back to the conference, we are at a new venue this year. We're at the Four Points Sheraton. And if you haven't booked a room yet, I unfortunately don't think there are any more rooms available here. Hopefully you were able to get your room already, but here are a few alternate hotels in the area. We listed these on our website as well. If you are still searching for some place to stay, now we have no affiliation with these hotels. This came up purely from a Google search of what was nearby and seemed to have availability. So that's there if you do still need to book a room. These are listed on our website with links, and you can check that out and hopefully you're able to find something, but hopefully you're at the hotel with us. All right, looking at the agenda, on Tuesday evening, we do have early registration available. So I recommend if you're coming into the hotel that night anyway, go ahead and stop by between 6 and 9 and check in with us. That way you can get all your materials the night before. You can get your lab coat, get that checked out, ready to go. So in the morning, all you have to do is come down and go straight to sessions and you don't have to worry about checking in with us. Definitely recommend that. Okay, Wednesday. Wednesday is our big day. We are going to have breakfast served that morning, so that will be there for you. We're going to have a presentation by the FNA lobbying group that's going to go over some of that grassroots advocacy, how to speak to legislators, what's on our docket for this year, and just some grassroots education there, and kind of what to expect in the current legislature. We're also going to have a presentation on advanced practice issues, and that's going to be by our title partners, the Florida Nurse Practitioner Network. And they are going to be giving a presentation, and then we are going into a role-playing demonstration. So we have some members who have volunteered to give you some examples of sort of the do's and don'ts when you go in for your appointments. So that's kind of an interactive and fun way to learn a little bit about what to expect when you go up to the Capitol and maybe some of the questions that you're going to get asked by legislators and some of the pitfalls to avoid and things like that. And then leading right into that, during our Advocacy Days luncheon, you all are going to be meeting with your groups to prepare for going up to the Capitol. And I'm going to talk a little more in detail about that. And then that afternoon, we're going to all go over to the Capitol. We have transportation. We have a bus that's going to take you all over. And that's when you're going to have your actual meetings with legislators. Once you've wrapped that up, we do have a legislative reception that evening. We're at a new venue this year, the Challenger Learning Center, which is within walking distance of the Capitol. And we are going to have legislators attending that. And we will have transportation back to the hotel after that reception. On Thursday, we are going to have, again, we'll have a little, a lighter breakfast for you that morning, and we're going to get an update from the Florida Board of Nursing. Joe Baker, the executive director, always does an update for us on any new legislation that's going to impact your license. We're also going to have some time to sit down and reflect on how our visits went from the day before. So we'll have some time to sort of hash out, what went well, talk about our successes, and get feedback from some of the other groups that morning. And then we are also going to have an update from the Florida Center for Nursing. Dr. Raina Letourneau, the executive director, will be providing that for us. And then we're going to be wrapping up fairly early and having lunch and sending everyone home. Okay, so let me dive in a little bit to give you an idea of what to expect for your legislative groups and your appointments. So when you arrive, you are going to already be assigned to a group, and your group is based off of your Senate district and your geographical region. So it's going to be on your name tag. So this is an example name tag from last year. And you can see that the group letter is on there. And we also have the attendees, Senate and House District. We pull this information based off of what you gave us when you registered, which is why we asked for your home address when you registered, because we wanted to make sure that we put you in the right group so that you're actually meeting your legislator. So once you know your group assignment, when you check in, you're going to be sitting with them. Your table is going to have the group letter on top of it. And so that'll give you an early opportunity to connect with the people who you're going to be going to the Capitol with. And you're going to, like I said, you're going to have time to be able to review your schedule and get together a game plan for going up to the Capitol. So FNA staff is in the process of contacting legislators to make appointments for when we go up to the Capitol. Now, not all of your legislators will be contacted. What we do is we try to prioritize those who have multiple constituents who are going to be coming up to the Capitol, and that just sort of helps to ensure that we have a constituent, if not several, in the room with that legislator, because we have things happen where if we're making an appointment with a legislator who there's just one person coming and unfortunately that person can't make it, then we have an appointment and we don't have someone to actually meet with them. So we sort of try to strategize that way, or we'll also make appointments with legislators that we know there's an existing relationship with a particular member. Say some of the folks on the call who are really experienced and already have an existing relationship with a legislator know they're going to be there. So, if we are given that information, if we know that information, we'll try to prioritize to make sure that they have an appointment as well. So we are working on that. And then we'll have a tracking sheet for all of your appointments. It's going to be in the app. That's kind of what it's going to look like on the side over there. And we'll make sure that we make it very obvious what's confirmed, when the appointment is, where it is, so you know where you're going. Okay, and then I just have some tips here for some success for when you're meeting with your groups. So each of the groups is going to have a volunteer leader who is someone who has had experience with navigating the Capitol before. So you'll want to make sure that you use the time you have to review your appointment list and map out where each of the group members are going to be going. Sometimes you might have to divide up so that you can make sure you make all of your appointments. We do our best not to have any of the appointments overlap, but sometimes just because of the legislators' availability, it may not be possible. So you'll have to strategize how you want to handle that and if everybody's going to be going and where. You'll want to decide who has a role in speaking to the legislator. So ideally, this would be one of their actual constituents. And you want to map out your talking points based off of the materials that we're going to be giving you. We're going to give you a folder that has a lot of material in it. It's going to have our legislative platform, and it's going to have several different sheets of talking points about specific issues that Willa is going to be talking about a little bit later in the webinar this evening. Just make sure that you have a plan so that you don't miss any scheduled appointments. That really doesn't look good for FNA if we make an appointment and we don't keep it. So just make sure that you have a plan for that. And if you do end up with any gaps in your schedule, you might want to plan to do a drop-in, maybe to a legislator that we weren't able to get an appointment with, but you can always go by and drop off the materials to their staff. We are going to give you folders with materials to give to the legislators. You'll have a big stack of those, so you can always go drop those off. And then sometimes there might be committee meetings going on, or they might even be in session, and you can actually sit in and watch that, which is also a really great experience if you have some downtime between appointments. We do have a group leader Zoom meeting scheduled for Monday the 15th at 5 p.m. And I apologize, it is Martin Luther King Day. When I scheduled this, was not looking at my calendar diligently, but this was the best day for the majority of the people who I polled. If you did not get the invite for that and you wanted to volunteer as a group leader, just email me, please, and I can send you that link. Okay, that legislative reception that I mentioned, this is just some more information on that. Like I said, it's within walking distance of the Capitol. We do invite legislators to attend, so just be prepared for that. Sometimes we'll have staff members attending as well to represent their legislator. And we are going to have a lot of heavy hors d'oeuvres and a cash bar available at that. So we hope that everyone joins us for that. And we will, like I said, be providing transportation back to the hotel and back. This is that schedule. We'll have buses going from the hotel to the Capitol and then from the reception to back to the hotel. Okay. All right, what to wear? So obviously we want to look professional when we're going to meet with legislators. It's very important. So dress comfortably, but of course we want to look professional. We are going to have the white lab coats with the FNA logo on them that are available for you to borrow for free. They're also available for purchase if you decide you want to keep yours. If you have your own lab coat, you can bring that. That's fine. But it does look really great when we have everyone showing up in those white lab coats. It really makes a statement to the legislators. Lapel pins are great. If you have any FNA pins or your university or college, those are great to have on there. They can be good talking starting points for a conversation with a legislator. It is going to be in January in Tallahassee. There's a very high chance that it could be cold. So just make sure that you bring some warm clothing and layers. Conference rooms are notorious for being cold, but also the weather it's usually pretty nippy up there in January. And then comfortable shoes. So that's, and I see someone put that in the chat as well. Can't iterate that enough. You want to look professional, but you also don't want your feet killing you. There's a lot of walking at the Capitol. So just be prepared for that. Whatever you're comfortable walking around in, we just want to reiterate that, so that you feel that you're prepared and at your best. And that wraps up my fun section. Willa, are you ready to take over from here?
Maybe.
Okay. I gave you slide control.
Okay. Now I got to remember what you do on this one for slide control. If it's just the enter or the arrow.
Yeah, there should be a little thing that popped up for it.
Okay. There it goes. Okay. So, preparing for your trip to the Capitol. Everybody, welcome tonight. I don't know if some of you noticed that Caitlin has a different last name. And she has a different last name for the happy reason, not the bad reason. So she had a wonderful wedding that the staff went to. And so just wanted to inform you of that wonderful happy change that we've had at FNA.
And you don't have a picture of that for us?
Maybe she'll share at some other.
I'll bring some Advocacy days.
So we are represented by public affairs consultants. Those of you who have been to some of our events know them and have met them. And, hopefully you can interact with them some at the event, but some of you have interacted with them, off session, but just know that they are our lobbyists. And so how does government work? A lot of you know this and you might be a little bored, but there's new people. So our legislature meets each year for 60 days. In even number years, it's January through March. And of course, we're in that cycle. They meet in January through March in the odd years because it's in the election year and they want to get back home to campaign early and do fundraising and all of that. Because they are not allowed to fundraise during session. And then in odd number years, it's March through May. So the legislative session began last Monday, I think, here. Tuesday, actually. It began Tuesday. And the legislators made up of two chambers. If you remember your middle school civics, a House of Representatives has 120 members and the Senate has 40 members. Bills start in a committee and then go to the House and Senate floor. And there are multiple committees. So it will start in a committee that is related to whatever that bill is. So there's healthcare committees and there's, social, what do you call it? law, criminal justice committees, those kinds of things. So whatever committee that bill starts in or is referred to, that's how it will move forward. And then after, if it is passed, then the governor will either sign it or veto it. And this is a little map of that, and it will be in your legislative packets. It'll be in the toolkit, and you can go and download the toolkit anytime on our website because we keep it on there. So if you go to FNA's website at www.floridanurse.org and go up the top, there's a legislative link. Click on that, and then you go down the side, it says tools, and then you can pull this toolkit, which kind of has a lot of what we're talking about tonight and a lot of things to help you to prepare if you're totally new to this. And if you're not, it's a good reminder and reference point. So our role is to advocate for the FNA legislative agenda, not our own personal agenda. And we reiterate that because from time to time, people will go and visit a legislator, and then they will start talking about something that not only is personal to them, but a lot of times it is in opposition to what FNA is advocating for. So we ask that if you go there under the mantle of FNA, that you only talk about FNA's agenda and educate them about our profession and bills affecting nurses and patients, and answer any questions that they might have. And if you don't know the answer, then refer them back to us or to our lobbyists. And so the legislative agenda is general, and it just draws attention to important issues of the FNA. You know, there are many years where we don't necessarily address something that's on the agenda, but we do want it out there, and we want them to be able to have it in their hands in case something comes up. They'll know to call us about it, or we hope that they will call us about it. And so what are we going to advocate for? We have to keep it simple, 2 to 3 issues. We can't go to the legislature with like 12 ideas of what we want or something that we're not specifically focused on. Like just today, I got 3 people writing me in my email about different issues that are important to them that they want FNA to advocate for. You know, there were a couple that they might come up, and if they come up during session and it's a bill and something we're interested in, we will support it. Like somebody has a bill this year about the post, you know, advanced directives, those kinds of things. Well, we support that, but it's not our key issue that we're going to be advocating for. So you don't need to discuss every topic unless they ask about it. And we have talking points there. Try to use our talking points. Because sometimes when you talk off the top of your head, you might be nervous. You might say something that might not be completely accurate. So just use our talking points or give our talking points to them, point them to them. And so, and leave the packet of materials with them. So even if they don't look at it, their staff will look at it. And anything that you deem important, take notes. Or if you have a question about it that you want to bring back, take notes. Also, we want you to take notes because we want you to tell us about your experience, like what it was like. Were they polite? Were they good to you? Were they interested in what you had to say? Did they have any opposition that you would want to share with us? So make sure you pay attention to that. And then use the feedback forms. They'll be available on the conference app. You can download that and fill it out and share it with us, because then it helps us to know what your experience was. And let us know any experience, whether it was good or bad, any questions they ask, and any follow-up that we need to do. There are some legislators who are very adamant against any scope of practice, especially with nurses. And there are some scope bills being advanced this year. And so if you are working with one who is particularly argumentative, you know, you can't change their mind. You could give them all the research in the world and they're just not going to listen to you. But let us know about it, so we know that the lobbyists can go talk to them, because a lot of times they have inroads with them that you may not know about. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So these seem basic, but we always remind people because they don't realize, be courteous, educate the legislator, thank them, and offer FNA as a resource for nursing issues. Don't be late, never threaten. Don't say we'll get back at you, or I'll never vote for you, or I'm not going to give you any money. Don't mention campaign contributions at all. It's a violation of the state ethics law. And don't connect a contribution to a vote. It makes them know that you're inexperienced if you do that. And don't feel like you have to change their mind at that moment. You just make a note of it, and we can see what we might be able to do later, or send them more information, educate them more. But these are pretty basics, but I will tell you, we've had years where members were thrown out of legislators' offices for being rude or for criticizing them. We've had members post negative things on social media, and the legislator will bring it up to us, because that, when they're doing it and they mention FNA, that connects them to us, and it looks very bad for us. So it is an exercise in being, let's say, diplomatic, zen, the same way you are with patients when you would like to say or do something else than what you're doing. So, nurses are already good at it because, you entered a career where you had to do that every day. So just kind of think of it in that way, and don't think of it as personal. Things are so emotional and volatile at the moment that this is time to get in touch with your inner nurse and, be able to communicate in a therapeutic way to our legislators. Take pictures. And you know what? Don't feel bad at all about asking them to take pictures. Nobody likes to take pictures more than legislators, even actors. They want to take them more. So they love to have those moments that they can put on their social media. So don't hesitate to take pictures. And then you yourself share the pictures on social media. A few people sharing on social media, that somebody else, their friends, their colleagues comment on it. And pretty soon you have a nice viral posting. Our friend Megan, who's on here now, she's the champion of social media and posting, and then people answer. And so it gets people to know you're there. It gets you more posts. And, people will say, oh, FNA needs to be on more social media. No, we need more members on social media, advancing the stuff we already have on there. We do have both, all three of us actually post, but we have a newer employee who also helps Caitlin to post on social media. And yeah, but LinkedIn is pretty good. I think that's where we get most of our good posts, is on LinkedIn. And so, because a lot of the ones on some of the other social media aren't necessarily that linked to nursing. And a lot of times we're being trolled by businesses and things like that. So LinkedIn is very good. So, yeah, so just, if you're not on social media for other reasons, just go on for us and to advance nursing and to make us more visible. And make sure you take those pictures. You can take that example from our Madam President, who's the picture taking queen of America. So, it's really helpful to have those photographs. And then navigating the Capitol. There's three main buildings: the Capitol, the House Office Building, and the Senate Office Building. And it's a confusing building. I'm going to tell you that right now. So that's why we try to group you in groups with people who have become more familiar with the building. And so you have the Senate Office Building, 312, third floor, room 12, Senate Office Building. House Office Building, these are legislators' offices and how they're numbered. Second floor, 210, House Office Building. 101C, 10th floor, room 101, Capitol Building. 1041C, 14th floor, room 1401, Capitol Building. And just know that the elevators can be confusing. And so, just kind of pay attention, and during legislative session, they're pretty busy and you may have to wait for a couple to go by, but just kind of be aware of that before you get there and you won't be frustrated. So our priorities, and we do have a QR code here. And I'll pause for a minute for anybody who wants to use it. But it's to our legislative platform, which is also on our website on the legislative page, and you'll see a link to our platform. Each year, we look at our platform. We may take something off, add something. Our board approves it, and we go over it a lot of times at membership assembly to get some feedback. But you just may want to familiarize yourself with it. Some of it is based on things we have worked on for several years, and then some of it comes up as new when new issues come up. And so we try to keep it updated. We didn't take everything off, even though we had progress on some things, but we still wanted to keep some things top of mind. So, some things never go away. So we definitely support the ability of registered nurses and advanced practice nurses to practice to the full extent of their education and experience. We're still hearing resistance, of course, in this legislature, but I do know that there has been some scope bills filed this year. I believe that the CRNAs filed a bill for to be like our other nurses, our other advanced practice nurses that have their level of autonomous practice. And then I believe the nurse midwives who were left out of the first bill are advancing a bill, and the psychiatric nurses I think are advancing a bill. And if you're aware at all of the whole psychiatric nurse situation, that law is a mess. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It doesn't even like it has psychiatric nurse, and that's how they're named, but a psychiatric nurse has to be an advanced practice nurse, which basically means psychiatric nurses who work with patients in psychiatric hospitals don't really have a name because they've misnamed that. And there's certain things psychiatric nurses can't do. They've given them a few things, but most things are under supervision. So they would like to also have autonomous practice and are trying to clean up that that law. So FNA supports legislation that provides meaning information to users of healthcare about staffing and nursing resources in healthcare facilities. And so part of that is kind of related to staffing. We would like facilities to be open about what their staffing is and let them know not only what the level of staffing is, but who are the staff. Like we're really watering down nursing staff, like it's particularly in the time of a shortage. It's like you just can pin a tag on somebody and everybody thinks they're a nurse, and it's quite dangerous. And it's, to me, damaging to the profession. Those of us who have been in it for a while know how we were educated about high quality and the standards we should have. And then now we're watching them pretty much say, just about anybody can do anything if you train them to do it. And, we all know that that's just not true. And we have to really keep watch on that and try to come up with some ways for them to understand that, legislators shouldn't just write laws about nurses without referring to nurses. I mean, one day maybe I'll just write a bill about engineers that build bridges and see how far that goes. Like, will anybody listen to me? Well, I think they should make the bridges pink and put bows on them. It's like they just do stuff and without asking us. And then the danger that it has to patients is real serious. Okay, FNA supports recurring funding of the Florida Center for Nursing. You all know about that. Um, we continue to be proud of the fact that we miraculously got the center restored after the funding was vetoed 2 years ago, and it's come back. And Rena Latorno, as the executive director, has done a fabulous job, not only of doing the data collection and keeping it like really building it back up, but she's also keeps it out front and is very visible and goes everywhere and is speaking in front of the legislature and in touch with those people. We're still kind of pushing to get the other part of the board filled, because our position isn't filled. Florida Organization of Nurse Leaders doesn't have their position. There's a couple of other positions missing. So we're working to do that, but right now we're really focused on that they do the continued funding. So it was funded for 2 years, each year for $5 million. So we're hoping that we can continue to do that. And this is our focus bill this year. Policy change requiring hospitals and ambulatory surgery centers to implement policies to evacuate surgical smoke. We advanced this bill last year. It did pretty well. There was nobody really against it. It's just the legislator in one, and I believe it was in the Senate, pushed it in the House. One of them did and one didn't. And so it passed one, but not the other. And so we are once again working on surgical smoke. I don't see much opposition. There's individuals that have opposed it. There's been even some surgeons, which I kind of don't understand. But there are nurses working very hard on it. We have done this in partnership with AORN and the nurses in Florida who are members of AORN. AORN has had this as a priority for several years, and they're kind of going state by state by state. And they saw an opening here. And so we are once again working on this. There are talking points for this. And so we want you to read the talking points, familiarize yourself with it. If you don't understand what it's about, this is when you use the cautery devices and the smoke that's generated. There's research to show that it is not only can be carcinogenic, but damaging to people who have respiratory issues already. I mean, it's really kind of fascinating, the things that we expose ourselves to as nurses and don't think much about it. And so the nurses are working very, very hard to try to advance this bill once again. And we have worked with AORN before. We worked with them on the first assistant bill, and we've blocked that several times. And so it's a bill where they think anybody can be a first assistant. It's like, they're always sort of like watering down what nurses can do and the importance of having nurses there versus people that aren't educated to do those particular roles. So just be aware when you go there. We'll be talking about this and we'll give you more detail when we get there. I do believe that they have a demonstration. They have an actual box there. And Sandy Falk is coordinated. Sandy is a nurse who's very active with AORN and local OR nurses in Florida. And so she's been working with vendors to help with demonstrations on this. So if you're there and you haven't seen this, because if you're not an OR nurse, you may have never seen it. I actually went to the OR as a student and went again as a nurse and saw this in action. But if you've never seen it, I mean, it's great to know things about your colleagues in their specialties. What's saying? They have a rep and a demo box. I don't know so much about the schedule yet, but we'll coordinate, Sandy. You can talk to Caitlin after, not tonight, but tomorrow. Another day. Um, FNA supports efforts to protect the rights, jobs, wages, pensions, healthcare coverage, and other benefits of our state employed health professionals. For right now, we are still working with the state employees, even though there was bills last year that, well, 2 years ago or last year, that had a requirement for unions to have a certain number of members in order to continue. And we don't have that as of yet, but we're trying to work on it. They did the same thing to teachers, and they excluded fire, rescue, all of those people. But so, and I'll leave it at that. But we will continue to advocate for those things, for those workers, as long as we have some power related to that. And then we continue to have this on the agenda, even though we moved it down, that supports a coordinated plan for pandemic management. We had a larger statement in the past, but we also don't want to take this statement away because COVID has not gone away. And some of you have probably heard on the news that there's been a resurgence of hospitalizations in the past couple of weeks with COVID. So we want to make sure it stays there. Plus, there is a lot of controversy in this state and even some talk about making COVID boosters illegal. So, you know, to me, whether you believe it or not, you shouldn't take away somebody else's choice if they want to be vaccinated. So I don't know if I'm going to have to go on a corner with a coat with vaccinations going, I got a vaccination, you want one? But I'm just like, it's insane. But we are keeping watch on that kind of stuff as well. And then we, you know, keep top of mind safe delegation of nursing care to qualified personnel, because we keep getting you know, a CNA for this and a tech for that, and you know, all of these different things that we went through great care to learn how to do. And then, you know, they just say, oh, we'll just train this person to do those things. And they don't know all of the, you know, background and the research and the you know, the physiology, all of the things behind that. So they keep, you know, they've added medication techs and there've been feeding techs, and, you know, it's okay for nurses to give, for nurse aides to give this kind of med or to assist with meds. Well, you can't assist somebody with, you know, like very advanced dementia with meds, you have to give them. So, you know, we are keeping our eye on anything that develops like that, or anything that says that if you've been a medic in the Army, then you can be a nurse. There, you know, there've been some like that. So, you know, we don't care if they become a nurse, they just need to go to nursing school to become a nurse. We'd love to have them as a nurse. And we support the Florida nursing, the oversight of Florida nursing educations by the Board of Nursing. There was supposed to be some legislation last time, it didn't materialize. And we still are seeing the aftermath of the fraudulent nursing schools. People are still being prosecuted. There are still some schools here that I know are not, they don't have clinicals. They don't have clinicals. They do video. And so there's no real oversight over like individual schools, so they can continue to do this, you know, until some handle is gotten on it. So, yep, Kim says no clinicals for some of the CNAs either. So it's, yeah, one of the schools I know of has LPNs, ADNs, and CNAs. And I reported it to the FBI, but I haven't seen anything happen yet. So we're hoping to see that happen again. And then we support the monitoring of nursing programs related to the licensing exam. I realize that the licensing exam scores have gone up. I haven't seen yet how significantly or overall how much better it's looking. But a lot of that they think is related to the change in the test. But, of course, the Center for Nursing collects that data. And so we'll be getting a pretty good picture of what's going on with that. And then we support educating the legislators regarding the ramifications of environmental and climate effects on our state and the health of our residents. And this was suggested to be added by Debbie Hogan, who's also on the call, who's done quite a bit of our education related to the link between nursing and environment and climate. And so we want to be on the cutting edge of all of these things. Sometimes, even if they're not that popular, we really want to make sure that we speak out about these things. And if anybody's really interested in this, Debbie and I were talking the other night, and I found some great resources on the WHO page and on the CDC page. There were some great infographics. And, like if you haven't made the link and haven't had time to really delve into it, these were nice because they were quite simple and you could see like, oh yeah, I knew that. But to see it all on their page and how they link it together is it's good to know and good to have. We'll probably have Deb do some more education during the year on this, as well as the work she's been doing on it. And then we have a bill tracker, and our lobbyists send us bills as they come out or anything that they think might affect us or we might be interested in. And so you can go to the website to get the legislative link, scroll down, you'll see the bill tracker. And we try to update it frequently. Alfaz, who is our newer employee, he's been helping Caitlin with that. So we've been able to do it more efficiently with a little extra help. So just be aware of that and to check in to see if there's anything new. And we'll also send out legislative alerts if there's something we feel like you need to know about, or particularly if we think you need to contact your legislator and talk to them. So during session, watch your email to see if there's, because a lot of times we're not sending them out to everybody. It may be a legislator that's in your particular area who might be the chair of that committee. That's that person we need to target. So just kind of keep your eye on everything. And because we don't do this alone, we do it as a team. And so we use the health policy SIG and the board and like individual members if we know they have a link to a certain legislator. So just be on alert. So I want to thank you all for participating. And if you hear of any bills that are of concern or that have to that relate to nursing, maybe relate to your specific area or whatever, keep us informed of that too. And so we can like alert our lobbyists that, hey, you need to go talk to so-and-so about this issue and tell them that this is how FNA kind of feels about that. So any other questions, any other suggestions, any other information that you may have to share with us?